Water. It's a necessity, the foundation of our entire planet. Without it, we simply wouldn't exist. And for most of us, water is more than just survival. It's happiness, a reason to smile, a place to explore, an adventure to share. Without water, what would we have? Nothing. For all the life water brings us, our cities are now dealing with the consequences of unsustainable water usage. With 5 groups of reporters, we explored solutions to Northeast Georgia's biggest water issues. From farmers, businesses, and nonprofits, to governments, residents, and even pets. Everyone has an impact, and it'll take all of us to work towards multiple solutions. We're your hosts, Jaden Henson
and Sam Chin. Our journey uncovering Northeast Georgia's relationship to water begins in the heart of our state, Atlanta. America is home to more than 250,000 rivers, and it's not uncommon to see them flowing through our big cities like Atlanta. With the city's infrastructure increasingly strained by flash flooding, some neighborhoods can be disproportionately affected.
These consequences will only worsen with climate change. Over the next 30 years, it's estimated that 25% of properties in downtown are at risk of flooding. Our first group of reporters uncovered how one nonprofit organization has stepped in to provide support to residents through education on managing water, combating pollution, and more.
And a lot of times when we were talking to members of the community and stuff, they were almost phrasing in a way where it was like, no one else listens to us, so why would you? And I'm glad that journalism can, whether it's big or small, make an impact in some regard, and just give those people a voice to speak their truths. And, even if we're not dealing with these issues, but being so in it, and reporting on it, like I feel for them and I see the stuff that they're going through, and it does kind of put a drive in me to help their stories get told and their voices be heard.
Metro Atlanta sits atop 3 river basins, the Chattahoochee, Flint, and South River. These river systems have been highly influenced by urbanization, with concrete roads and sidewalks preventing water from being absorbed into the ground. This causes flash flooding in urban neighborhoods and has significant impacts on the community's health and larger river systems.
Atlanta is the poster child for gentrification. And so all of these issues, have spun into a need to actually have a standardized way of teaching people.
The Atlanta Watershed Learning Network has provided these communities a solution: education. Students will learn the basics of watershed management and the impact of water-related issues to housing, safety, health, and social equality. Throughout the course, students work on a champion project, where they take their knowledge gained from the course and plan how to be a champion to their community and move forward. The course is offered to those who live on one of their 3 current focus river basins and/or Sandy Creek, Utoy Creek, Entrenchment Creek, and Camp Creek. Daryl Haddock, the education director at West Atlanta Watershed Alliance, thinks the AWLN is a key component in socioeconomic and environmental equity.
The community residents needed a way to be able to speak their own story and have their voices heard. And one of the ways that we felt could be effective is helping them speak the jargon that policymakers and scientists use.
By empowering and educating Metro Atlanta's most impacted residents, AWLN is turning the tide on environmental hazards and systemic inequalities.
Dr. Denitra Walker is a journalism scholar who has a passion for teaching DEI issues in the classroom.
A lot of times when you are empowered and you have the skills and the knowledge, the next step is making sure that those who are essentially in power are going to help you.
The program is run by volunteers, and potential limitations, such as securing ongoing funding and resources, could be a significant challenge.
And I think about things like funding, making sure that people are empowered when people are using their time, and you're in these different spaces. We want to make sure that they're empowered with money, because money helps us to get those solutions. We talk about votes, which is extremely important. It's a way to use your voice, but also I would say the money behind it, I could see as a potential issue.
Graduates of the program are now serving as watershed stewards and teachers themselves. Jason Dozier graduated from the program and became a council member, where he represents District 4 in Atlanta.
Just be curious on how things work, because you'll be surprised at how influential you'd be able to be just by knowing the jargon and having the relationships and being able to have conversations in ways that can really change the tide on how policy gets implemented.
Through education, advocacy, and community engagement, the Atlanta Watershed Learning Network is laying the groundwork for a more equitable and sustainable future for all of Metro Atlanta.
The work Atlanta Watershed Network is doing proves that everyday people can be empowered by education to improve their relationship with water. By staying informed and taking the time to simplify complex jargon, any average person can advocate for their well-being as well as for the environment's well-being. Our second team of reporters ventured far from city lights to the green farmland of Colbert, Georgia, where they saw water education at play in a different way. You might not expect to see farmers scrolling on their phones, but this solution can be found in a farmer's pocket.
It is really refreshing to pull up with somebody who is just as excited as you are to be there to talk with you, who's really excited and enthusiastic about what he does, and it comes through in the piece, it comes through you. He was incredibly nice to us. He was chatting us up about, far more than just what we were talking about with the journalism piece, chatting us up about who we are in our lives and stuff like that, and how the major's going. It's always refreshing and really nice to find a source that, again, not only do I think he plays well on the piece, I think he's, really enthusiastic on the piece, and I think that makes it work, all the better. But it's just fun for us to be there with him, fun for us to talk to him, and I think that's pretty unbeatable as far as the process goes, is finding a person like that.
For farmers across the state of Georgia, managing crop irrigation has always been a crucial priority. And now, thanks to nearly a decade of research at the University of Georgia's College of Agricultural and Environmental Science, they can manage it from their phone.
We made it a priority for our extension colleagues to educate our farmers about, let's just say, the most state-of-the-art irrigation scheduling technologies.
With the initial focus on large-scale farms in South Georgia, where the project originated, there has been room to grow further up in the Northeast. For J.D. Daniels in Colbert, Georgia, irrigation has always been an area of emphasis.
We have this field, we have 100 acres that way, 200 acres that way, and then another 10 acres that way. One big thunderstorm rolls through, we could get an inch over there, half an inch over there, and a quarter inch over there. So that's where this app sounds like it could come in and help.
The main benefit of UGA's Smart Irrigation app is to put information about what crops need to be watered when directly into farmers' pockets.
2 detector rods are placed into the soil, which measure root depth and soil moisture levels. These sensors communicate directly with the app. When an area dips below a suitable moisture level, the app alerts the farmer. The app also incorporates data from local weather forecasts to coordinate the correct amount of irrigation with natural rainfall.
UGA's Smart Irrigation app helps farmers save water and provides information about how much to water and when. However, it's a hard step for some farmers to take despite its convenience.
Definitely, as someone our age likes the new toys and the technology and all that, my dad age and up farmer, I don't know if y'all have ever ran into any farmers, but they're very hard-headed and everything. You'd have to do a little more convincing to them. But I think once you got out there and they saw it, or they saw the yield going up on statistics and stuff, I think everybody would be all about something like that.
As with any new technology, adoption isn't the only hurdle for success. The continuing challenge for the app is the same challenge faced by all meteorologists: getting the weather right.
We've built into the apps the ability to pull weather data, because that's how they work. They use weather data from a number of different sources. But the critical element is accurate rain data and manually entering how much irrigation you've applied. It's interesting that farmers in general, I would say, tend to prefer the soil moisture sensors. They actually prefer to have something physically in the field.
So when it's that dry, if let's say that happens again, we would kind of have to limit how much irrigation we are. Because eventually, if the spring's really good, but we do rely on the rainfall to go down into the pond to replenish it a little bit too.
Even with its limitations, UGA's Smart Irrigation app takes a technological leap by putting previously disparate sources of information into one location: the handheld smartphones of Georgia farmers.
Solutions like the Smart Irrigation app are pivotal in helping people navigate water usage and irrigation issues. In other instances, though, groups are compelled to take a more hands-on approach when caring for our water. When litter is discarded on land, it often finds its way into creeks and rivers through runoff. This poses a threat to aquatic ecosystems and degrades their health. In fact, nearly 50 billion pieces of litter end up near U.S. roadways and waterways. Even more, over half of this litter resides along waterways. This means 60% of water pollution is due to improper disposal alone. In Milledgeville, Georgia, our third group of reporters talked to a group that's protecting and restoring life of a waterway that they pass by each day.
I mean, there was a bike in the river and they pulled it from it. And so it was just really cool to kind of see how much work they really did. And kind of you'll see in our section of the video just what the before and the after looks like. So it's a pretty cool transition that tells the story of kind of what they do.
It's a necessity, a requirement for life. Whether on those farms or coming out of our sinks, water is a way of life for everyone. But how is it kept clean? Rivers Alive, partnered with the Aquatic Sciences Center of Milledgeville, has a solution for keeping our North Georgia waters clean.
At Tanyard Creek in Milledgeville, Rivers Alive partnered with Anna Agee, Dr. Samuel Mutiti, and the Aquatic Sciences Center to clean up the local river behind an apartment complex.
But the amount of trash bags we picked up just from doing it one time, just from one small section, can only tell us how much more this creek has to be cleaned up.
With the apartments nearby, waste from the Georgia College residents commonly ends up in the river below. From tires to grocery bags, cans, and even a bike, waste litters this beautiful river that flows through their backyard.
And so it doesn't get a lot of focus from other people, and it actually flows from a neighborhood upstream into the Oconee. So we have to stop the source in order to prevent it from getting into the Oconee.
Although this waste steals from the beauty of Tanyard Creek, volunteers from the college campus and other residents of Milledgeville restored the charm of Tanyard Creek. After a long afternoon of work, 10 tires, 18 construction materials, 67 grocery bags, and 280 pounds of cans were gathered at the cleanup site. The nearby residents like Wiley Bundy noticed these advancements in her backyard.
There is a lot of animals that live in here. We found a turtle and a snake, and it's just a really bad environment for them to live in, so we're trying to clean it up.
Tanyard Creek has been a focus for the Aquatic Sciences Center because of its high population surrounding the area and proximity to the center. But this is not the only effort from the Aquatic Sciences Center to help clean up the rivers around.
This summer, we are planning a camp. It's open to students from entering 9th grade going into 12th, but also college kids, and those will kind of act as mentors. And so it's July 8th through 12th, and more information will be posted on the website once it gets out there.
Rivers Alive and the Aquatic Sciences Center continue to clean our water sources that we walk by each day. And thanks to their partnership, Tanyard Creek and many other beautiful rivers enjoy its restored beauty.
Rivers Alive shows that water quality can be improved by cleaning up our mess. This mess encompasses more than just tires, plastic bags, and cigarettes, though. After all, we aren't the only animals that produce waste. Our fourth group of reporters discovered that even pet waste is a problem for our waterways. 66% of U.S. households own a pet, and more than 89 million dogs live in the country. The average dog produces 3/4 pound of waste daily, and while that seems small, it adds up to about 10 million tons each year. That's enough to stretch the distance of 3,800 miles from Boston to Seattle. In this next segment, you will see a preventative approach that Athens, Georgia is taking to keep pet owners accountable and in turn, people's drinking water safe.
I know I never think about pet waste stations when I think of water quality. I think more of like chemical management and water testing, but pet waste stations is, I don't know, kind of a silly way, but it's actually pretty impactful. So we wanted to explore that avenue a little bit more.
Hello Athens, Abby Brantley here reporting for Grady News Source on the streets of Athens Park County, where the community is addressing water quality issues in an unconventional manner that may make you wrinkle your nose. Pet waste.
In Athens, Georgia, dogs play not only on the football field, but also in the city's parks. But as these pets take occasional restroom breaks, their abandoned waste threatens the community's water quality. When waste is left unattended, stormwater runoff directs it into storm drains. This transfer pollutes the surrounding water sources, including those that supply drinking water, says local specialist Gary Hawkins.
That pet waste from animals, from domesticated animals, cats and dogs, has bacteria in it, E. coli, possibly some pathogens.
According to Athens-Clarke County's stormwater management program, this bacteria currently contaminates around 65 miles of the county's waterways, threatening local fish populations, encouraging weed growth, and carrying diseases. To manage the waste, Athens-Clarke County installed 3 pet waste stations countywide in 2023. These stations, equipped with waste bag dispensers and trash bins, provide pet owners with the necessary supplies to clean up their dog's messes in seconds.
If he goes potty and it's just like unexpected, I can still grab a bag, and that just like is going to reduce just like leaving that around.
These installations, along with those in neighboring counties, have improved water quality in many of Georgia's waterways. In 2022, the Environmental Protection Division reported the removal of fecal bacteria from 18 of the state's water bodies. Through these simple practices, community members can make a difference, says Gwinnett County's Water Resources Outreach Manager.
You have bags and you have trash receptacles, that gets people 2 steps closer to actually picking it up and throwing it away.
But pet waste stations only manage public areas, leaving homeowners responsible for the waste produced on private property. And Butler says that while many people clean up in public, they often neglect the waste piling up in their own backyards.
Getting people to change their behaviors is the biggest challenge.
As residents become more educated on how their pet waste directly affects their water sources, these stations can help keep more of Georgia clean.
I definitely think it should be a priority just to do our part in like keeping our community clean and safe.
There's a lot of beer in Athens. We know that. But you may not realize that even consumers are involved in some solutions. It can be as simple as enjoying a sustainably brewed beer. Brewing beer is a water-intensive process, which raises concerns about the industry's long-term sustainability and environmental impacts. To create one 32-gallon barrel of beer, it takes approximately 1,500 gallons of water. With a focus towards water conservation, local brewery, Creature Comforts, joined the community of over 2,000 B corporations in the US and Canada. These companies share the goal of improving their social and environmental standards.
I think something that's such a hot commodity in a town like this, that you go anywhere, you're going to see people drinking it. Seeing how something like that is, you know, finding the beneficiaries of it, you're going to see it everywhere because everybody's drinking it downtown every night. And you know, to see, again, like the behind the scenes of what are we doing to make sure that this thing that is so highly distributed here is also being made in a sustainable way that gives back to the local community.
You know, there's an old joke that says, you know, save water, drink beer. I wish it was true. It's not. Really taking the time to know and understand, not just how much water we're using it, where we're using it, and why. That drives conservation efforts.
Drinking beer might not save water. In fact, water is the main ingredient of beer. But that doesn't mean that water can't be saved throughout the brewing process. Improved efforts in water conservation, as well as other areas, helped Creature Comforts Brewing Company in 2021 reach B Corp certification, an assessment and standard for sustainable business practices. Jacob Yarborough, Creature Comforts Sustainability Manager, is responsible for ensuring their beer production is up to B Corp standards.
Every month we know exactly how much water we are using, we know how much beer we are producing, and so we get a ratio of water consumed to beer produced. When we first opened this facility, we would bounce between 5.5 to 6 units of water per unit of beer produced. We are a lot closer to 4.5 these days.
Aside from carbon emissions and solid waste, the biggest source of pollution in a brewery comes from its wastewater. Wastewater is extremely hazardous to ecosystems and can lead to various human health risks through our drinking water.
Beer is 95% water. It is the most important ingredient. You know, brewers like to talk about, you know, different varieties of hops, different characteristics from different fermentations. But, I mean, if your water isn't good, like, the whole thing is bad.
Creature Comforts uses key performance indicators and flow models to monitor all water that is used in their brewing facility. Water conservation is just one of multiple measurement areas in which businesses must improve to become B Corp certified.
One of the reasons that I like the assessment and the concept of B Corp so much is it gives a tangible way for businesses to, again, sort of measure what their impact is.
Water conservation has its challenges for a brewing company, however, as it requires a meeting point between sustainability and product quality.
I think one of the challenges really is balancing out trying to use as little water as possible while also not sacrificing quality of the product. It's definitely a balancing act.
The Athens Water Conservation Office says that water conservation efforts from B corporations benefit multiple portions of the Athens community.
It's benefiting whoever is frequenting that business, it's benefiting their neighbors, just because they have kind of taken that step to, it seems like, go above and beyond what is required of them.
While being a measurement of multiple areas of sustainability, the B Corp movement allows businesses to conserve and keep clean water for their local communities.
We believe that good companies are good neighbors, and part of that is making sure that we are doing business in a way that is positive.
Our reporters found sustainable solutions tackling Northeast Georgia's water issues. But this is a global issue. Water is everywhere, and so are people.
And just like a single drop of rain hitting the ocean, one solution dissolves in a sea of issues. We all owe something to the water that brings us joy.
Reporting on water education in Atlanta, I'm Kate Moore.
I'm Shannon Leftwich.
And I'm Samantha Hurley. Let the information flow.
Reporting on sustainable irrigation practices, I'm Brock Harris.
I'm Sam Carter. I'm Jonathan Williams. The solution is in a farmer's pocket.
Reporting on Rivers Alive, I'm Hamilton Culpepper.
I'm Seth Manus.
I'm Casey Jeter. And clean up your litter, don't leave it in the river. Reporting on water quality and water management, I'm Nava Rawls.
I'm Isabel Atkins.
And I'm Abby Brantley. And if your dog goes poop, make sure to scoop.
Reporting on sustainable business practices, I'm Valeria Campos.
I'm Abigail Austin.
And I'm Jake Kleinert. You wouldn't waste beer, so why waste water?
So, wherever you may be in the world, water affects all of us, and together we can find solutions. That's it! We did it! We did it!